episode 512 of 360 Wrestling Fanatic. Tonight I will be talking about WWE Monday Night RAW, featuring all the fallout from the WWE Fastlane Premium Live event, an NXT Women's Championship match, an Intercontinental Championship match, a match made for Crown Jewel, and also a Viking rules match, all here and more, right here, right now. 360 Wrestling Fanatic. Hey Wrestling Fanatics, welcome to this episode of 360 Wrestling Fanatic. Lance Brock here on this Monday night. And like I said in that little preview thingy there, gonna be talking about tonight's WWE Monday Night RAW. And tonight's Raw was live from Omaha, Nebraska, and our commentators tonight, Michael Cole and Wade Barrett. As most of the wrestling world tonight looking forward to the big Tuesday night war tomorrow night, head-to-head WWE, NXT, and AEW Dynamite, a special Tuesday night episode, and as everybody online is calling it, the Tuesday Night War. And I will talk about that a little more later on. But first, let's get to Raw. And we had a Viking rules match. This was not our first Viking rules match, but I believe it was our first singles Viking rules match. And this one tonight, definitely not saying it was a 5-star wrestling match or anything, but it wasn't quite as silly as the others. Yes, they had the shields on each side of the ring, but they didn't have that one, the ship thing, in front of the ring like they have before. And I thought Kofi and Ivar, they actually worked pretty hard in this one. And on the floor, you had Valhalla jumping off the announce table onto Kofi, and then Xavier Woods coming out to make the save for his New Day tag team partner. And Ivar getting the win here, defeating Kofi Kingston in this Viking rules match. And actually, this one wasn't too bad, I didn't think. I'll give it 2 out of 5 ring bells. And we have Raquel Rodriguez trying to get some revenge here against Nia Jax. And then there's some interference, and then Rhea Ripley gets involved and Shayna Baszler gets involved, causing the disqualification. And just kind of turns into a mess here. Big Bronson Reed defeats Ricochet and Chad Gable in a number one contenders triple threat match. And Drew McIntyre defeated JD McDonough. And we also find out tonight that Drew McIntyre will be challenging the world's heavyweight champion Seth freaking Rollins at Crown Jewel. I think that'd be a pretty good match. I think they could have a good title match. I'm not sure if I see McIntyre being the one who takes the title off of Rollins, but I think this could be a pretty good feud heading into Crown Jewel. And the NXT Women's Championship is on the line. We have the man Becky Lynch defeating Tegan Nox with a submission to retain. Pretty good match here. I'll give it 3 out of 5 ring bells. And speaking of Becky Lynch, I got a text from WWE today, and no, not because I'm anybody special. I'm just signed up for the text. And also, it was talked about on Raw tonight, Becky Lynch's book coming out next year in 2024. I think that would actually be a pretty good read. Have to wait and see when that comes out. I think that would be a pretty good book though. And the WWE Undisputed Tag Team Championships are on the line. The new champions, the American Nightmare Cody Rhodes and main event Jey Uso, take on the former champions Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. Really good main event here, I thought. And the new champions Rhodes and Uso retain. In this main event, I'll give it 3.5 out of 5 ring bells. Really good main event on Raw tonight. I enjoyed it. And that was tonight's WWE Monday Night RAW. So overall, I did think it was a pretty good show this week. I probably would have to say I'll give it about 8 out of 10 ring bells overall as a whole show together. I thought there was a few really good matches on Raw this week. So I did, for the most part, enjoy the show tonight. And now, before I wrap up this episode of the podcast, talk a little bit about tomorrow night, what people are calling the Tuesday Night War. WWE NXT going head to head with a special Tuesday night episode of AEW Dynamite, due to TBS having, I believe, the MLB playoffs on Tuesday night, or Wednesday night, sorry. Tomorrow night we have NXT and Dynamite head to head. And my plan for tomorrow night is I'll be watching Dynamite live and DVRing NXT. And then I will probably do some kind of episode of 360 Wrestling Fanatic. Maybe since this is such a big night tomorrow, I'll do the usual premium live event night thing where I do a special live episode. Not promising that just yet, but I might think about doing that for tomorrow night. And as soon as I watch both shows, both Dynamite and NXT, I'll do 360 Wrestling Fanatic and talk about both of them right here on the podcast. Like I said, not for sure, but maybe a live episode of 360 Wrestling Fanatic tomorrow night. But I definitely do plan on having a special live episode of 360 Wrestling Fanatic this Saturday night after Impact Wrestling's Bound for Glory pay-per-view, which should be a very good card. We have for the Impact World Championship, one half of the Motor City Machine Guns, Alex Shelley, defending against the Walking Weapon, Josh Alexander, which should be a very good match. And we have Mike Tenay and Don West and Tracy Brooks going into the Impact Wrestling Hall of Fame. And also, speaking of tomorrow night, it has been announced that the first 30 minutes of NXT will be commercial free. No real surprise there, since they're trying to make this episode tomorrow night a supersized, almost WrestleMania kind of episode of NXT. Cody Rhodes, The Undertaker, John Cena, Becky Lynch, Asuka. I'm surprised they didn't even try to get The Rock on here, try to get Stone Cold on here, Hogan, Mick Foley, Kane, make this whole, but just because Dynamite has a special Tuesday night episode, they have to do a WrestleMania type episode on a Tuesday night instead of letting the regular NXT roster. Who knows, maybe they would put on a good show. And that's all for this episode of 360 Wrestling Fanatic. Thank you everyone for listening. Remember, not sure if I will be doing a live episode tomorrow night or not just yet. And we'll be back tomorrow morning for the Tuesday episode of Good Morning Wrestling Fans. And to talk more about tomorrow night NXT versus Dynamite Tuesday Night War, as people are calling it. And that's all for this episode, though. Thank you once again for listening. Remember, if you have any questions or comments, you can leave your feedback for tonight's Monday Night Raw. Also, your predictions for Impact Wrestling Bound for Glory this Saturday night. And hope everyone will be back here for Good Morning Wrestling Fans in the morning. And tomorrow night for 360 Wrestling Fanatic as well. But until then, I am Lance, and I am a wrestling fanatic.